What's up, CFO gang? It's your boy Jay Tuck. Real Cowboys fans, stand up, yo, and salute to everyone out there that's already in the chat, man. It's been a while. I was kind of going through my show prep, getting the show all prepared for tonight, man, because we got a fire show, so y'all definitely got to like the content, man. Every Cowboys fan, y'all know, mamas, aunties, uncles, nieces, nephews, cousins, go ahead and share this content because they're going to get educated tonight. Trust me on that. But I was going through my prep, and I was like, I still got a bunch of draft files in my live. So like, bro, I haven't went live since the draft, man. So, we definitely got a lot of things to talk about. But tonight, couldn't do this one alone. I couldn't do this one alone, man. And this guy really doesn't need no introduction, man. If you follow my content, he's been here since the very beginning, like day one. He's one of the first people I started working with when I was kind of a young little content creator, didn't know what the hell I was doing. And now things have suddenly changed where I'm kind of viewed as a nuisance in the industry and amongst the community, man. Who would have thought? Who would have thought little old me, man? But CFO fam, let's give a warm welcome to my guy, BJ Nix. What's going on with you, bro?
Man, I'm doing good, brother. Here we are, X amount of years later, from the barren lands of my back porch with some frogs and maybe some Ciroc going around and 6-7 hours of just shooting and going to man, some waves here and there.
Now, let me ask you this, bro. When we were doing these shows way back then, did you ever think it was going to get this far?
I don't know. No, because, here's the thing about it. Look, everyone gets into this game for a reason.
Right.
The reason is. And I know one of the reasons, because I've been doing it for a little bit,
mm-hmm.
And I just really crossed over to the Cowboys stuff. And then you were out there, but then you started doing
Pick Six Sports, but I still call them Star Gang. It's still my Star Gang.
It's
Star
Gang days, for sure. But the reason why I thought we clicked and we did so well was we wasn't looking to get anything out of it.
Right.
It was like, hey, we love this scene. We like doing draft stuff. Like we're about educating ourselves and want to understand things more and be able to deliver that to people and provide an avenue that was just different. It wasn't about a monetary gain or we want some kind of clout or whatever that was. It was just, this was entertaining for us, and it was coming from an organic place. And so where we are now. Hey, brother, you was at the Super Bowl, my guy.
yeah, we do a little bit, we're doing a little bit, man. But like I said, honestly, you said something. It was just very about, just being authentic to ourselves. Like we started these channels as passionate Cowboys fans and doing what we love to do. And then all of a look with the opportunities that I was able to create. And I think the most important piece for me, Nix, honestly, is that I've met so many incredible people. Like you're like a brother to me. Spoonie's like a brother. Professor O's like a brother to me. Mary's like a sister to me. So I met so many amazing people just doing this content, right? So I think that's the most important piece for me, man. But I think what people really have to understand is when we started this whole ordeal, right, it wasn't about the fame, it wasn't about the money, it wasn't about the exposure. But for me, let's go back to J Tuck 2019 before the pandemic started. And I was working 17 hours, 18 hours. I was working a lot of hours, not doing, a lot of content. I was always a diehard Cowboys fan, but, I relied on different sources to get my Cowboys news. Now, I will not be embarrassed to say, because I said this on numerous shows, I used to watch, I was a first taker, Skip Bayless, because they were always just talking about the Cowboys. And when you're constantly on the go, you reach out to the radio station or, different publications or just to get your quick fix of what's going on with my team. Right. So you don't know any better. But as things progress, Nix, I started to think this isn't adding up. Some of the questions I had as a Cowboys fan just wasn't being properly answered. I would reach out to certain individuals on Twitter who, funny now, they always got a response to me today, right? But, back then, it's just like I never get a response. And, I clearly remember the Zeke trial. And there was a lot of different conversations about the Zeke trial. And I remember my homegirl, Mighty, salute to her, she was going through law school. And she was kind of breaking down the case from a standpoint where I could understand it. And she was like simplifying things, right? So all the other journalists was talking about the Zeke case, right? And then when it came out and all the details, she was on top of it. And I was like, how was she beating everyone to the punch? But you guys were the insiders and really didn't know. So I was feeling misled. So that's when I really started to learn about the power of the community Then I was exposed to, Skywalker still and so many others, and the story goes on and on. So when I built my platform, I know you guys pretty much built with the same intent, is I want to make sure that Cowboys fans are getting the truth, right? They're getting all sides of the story, and that you are getting the truth. And then you can make whatever decision that you want to make. So it's not about us being right or wrong. Hey, apples, oranges, black and white, here it is. And you can ultimately decide. So what am I getting at? I feel like right now, we all know, Nix, you know what I'm saying? Mr. Can't Do No Right is Micah Parsons. And I feel like when it comes to Micah Parsons, there's a lot of head scratching things that's going on when it comes to Micah Parsons. So I'll just start with you. Just how things have transpired since we lost versus Green Bay. What is your overall thought process when it comes to Micah Parsons and how you feeling about the Lion?
Yeah, man. As the star turns, what's a fickle world these days, isn't it?
Right.
It's very fickle. And look, right, the season ended a particular way.
Right.
We all understand that. And then the podcast thing, and he had a lot to say, on the podcast about certain things. What we do understand at times, and to be fair, right? Every media has their own particular job, right? And they're going to code some of their reporting as they have a job, right? So then that kind of happened. Well, then I'm just going to go down the timeline.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, the local station, and they're saying, "Hey, look, we're hearing things, and there's people inside the building that would sleep better if Micah wasn't." So. Like from the game to the podcast to that to now, OTAs are here and he didn't show up. Granted, right? He talked with James, said, "Yeah, I'm gonna be there next week," which he was.
Right.
In practice.
Right.
He didn't practice. So then, as a fan base, right? It's he said he was gonna be here, he wasn't. So again, it's just been a slow decline in those realms.
Right.
But it's because of the star.
Right.
Right. He's there and we were talking about in the Twitter space last week prior to camp. I'm like, look, Lamb's not going to show up because it makes no sense for him to show up until he gets paid.
Right.
That's just where it is. I said, Mike will be there at mandatory. I'm telling you. And guess what? Lo and behold, he was there at mandatory.
Right.
Now, we'll pause and kind of get to maybe what he said and how they delivered that stuff. But we'll get it to that point, and we'll kind of pivot from there. We'll get to the other stuff here in a second. But yeah, it's just from January till now, it's been a little bit of a descent. Little things here, little things there. But ultimately, in a lot of ways, the way that the Cowboys handled this offseason is what's caused this, though.
Right.
And me and you had some talks in the back channels, and I screamed some of the top of my lungs on, Twitter and other spots. Simply this. Either you had to, and I'm a McCarthy guy. Everyone knows I'm a McCarthy guy. I said, but you couldn't just retain him.
Right.
You either had to fire him or extend him, because it's going to be something every turn of the way moving through the rest of the season. And we're just seeing those things now.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get into that because, I think that's one of my biggest question marks going into this season is all these one-year prove-it deals, right? And Mike McCarthy even spoke about that today in the interview. But, going back to Micah, if you go to the timeline, and I was doing that as I was setting up the show this morning, it's like we lost on January 14th. And I think on January 23rd, that's when the news kind of 24th, something like that came out.
Yeah, somewhere out there, yeah.
So we lost on the 14th of January, right after my birthday, right? Happy birthday, Tuck. And then that's when you had the whole reports that, he's not a leader, what I'm saying? He's lazy. And that infamous video kind of just started that first little seed, right? That first little seed that kind of came out. And then it kind of spiraled, right? Because remember, Micah did not go on his podcast directly until we got to the Super Bowl when he had the fancy setup. And I wish I had that setup, right? So, it was kind of some time in between because he wanted to take time to speak on what happened versus Green Bay. And I feel like just from that moment, it's just been a downhill thing with Micah where he can just not do any right, whether it's his shoes, whether it's going to Japan, whether it's this. I feel like the Cowboys fans and some of the media members have found a way to sink their teeth into the low-hanging fruit, which is now Micah Parsons, which has transpired to a lot of the things that we're seeing today. So, going to the conversation that Nick was just talking about, right? What is the hot topic button, right? Micah Parsons did not attend, say it with me, y'all, voluntary. That means you have an option to attend, right? It's not mandatory, it's voluntary, right? Now, of course, he showed up, did the media stuff. So like you said, technically he was there. You know what I'm saying? So technically he was there. But I guess from some people's standpoint, he wasn't fully engaged, right? And you're kind of hearing today, and Mike McCarthy even spoke about this, you're not really doing a lot in OTAs besides just being around your teammates. Now, there has been reports, right? Him and Chauncey Golson and Sam Williams, they went out to Colombia. Now, that's a hell of a team. Man, that's a hell of a bonding trip. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to take, you've seen him working out with, Mozzie Smith and doing a lot of boxing and, doing different things, going to the basketball games with Osa and Diggs. So bonding in a different way, but he wasn't at voluntary OTA. So what happened was a lot of the people have come into question about Micah's leadership, particularly because he wasn't at the OTAs. Okay, cool. I get it. Right. And I went back and I really kind of scrubbed the podcast. And if you really listen to what Micah and CD were saying, they were talking about being more vocal leaders, showing better emotion on the sidelines. Like, hey, when we get down, say, no, we're not out. We can, so those types of things. But people heard the word leadership. Now, where I will kind of give those people that nugget, they did say it starts today. They're like, okay, that starts right now. We got to get to work. Now, they never said, I'm going to get to work and I'm going to be at voluntary OTAs. Are you going to be there? Yeah, I'm going to be. It wasn't that type of conversation, right? So I feel like a lot of people have hooked leadership and associated leadership when it comes to OTAs, right? So, Nix, let me ask you this question, right? Because this guy just got this bag, man. I'm always a proponent of players getting their bag. Would you consider Christian McCaffrey a leader?
I mean, it has to be, right?
Yeah.
The way the quarterback situation has been, right? He's the focal point of that offense. So, yeah, McCaffrey, I would say you would done. I mean, $19 million a year for a running back. He better be a leader, right?
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So, we got the money, and I would think Christian McCaffrey's a leader. When I was covering the 49ers, unfortunately, at the Super Bowl, a lot of other team members for San Francisco and coaching staff spoke very highly about Christian McCaffrey being a leader. Well, guess what, Nix? Who wasn't at voluntary OTAs?
He just got the bag, though.
He just got the bag. He just got the bag, and he skipped voluntary OTAs and showed up at the mandatories. Now, was the narrative not a leader? Nothing. You didn't even hear a peep. A lot of you guys did not hear a peep about this whole situation until I explained it. And I listed on Twitter, I listed Chris Jones. I listed Lane Johnson, Devontae Smith. Like, the list goes on and on of so many talented players across the league who were not there at voluntary, and there's a lot of them not at mandatory. You know what I'm saying? Like Cam Hayward, like there's a lot of good players that's not at mandatory, but they're more in contractual situations. So people skip out on mandatory and voluntary OTAs all the time. It really comes down to camp. Lamar Jackson, the MVP, wasn't at voluntary, right? Now, here's what people are going to say, Nix. You know what? I don't give a damn, bro. It's the 49ers. What that got to do with the Cowboys? I am sick of the 49ers, all right? Let's just focus on the Cowboys and our team. Well, who was a leader that you would probably want Micah Parsons probably to mirror or mimic? Like, if you can say somebody, it's off the top of your head.
Maybe a former Cowboy. How about a Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah.
How about DeMarcus Ware?
I think DeMarcus Ware would probably be a perfect candidate, right? Because if you look at DeMarcus Ware, defensive rookie of the year, all pro, like he came out the gates firing. So I think, if there was a model citizen or someone that can probably speak to Micah Parsons about what it is about being a true leader in Dallas, it would probably be DeMarcus Ware. I think everybody in the chat will agree with that. DeMarcus Ware would probably be a good person, a good candidate to kind of go off of, right? All right. Well, what if I told you, Nix, DeMarcus Ware was skipping OTAs as well?
What?
Dun, dun, dun. All right. So let's, and this is where we had to dig in the crates just a little bit. Go back to 2007. Salute to Blogging with the Boys for keeping their archives up, right? So starting wide receivers, Terrell Owens and Terry Glenn have attended just one each the last 2 weeks, including none this week. Rest in peace to Terry Glenn. There is one OTA on Friday. Also, starting running back Julius Jones, Pro Bowl safety, who I would say probably was a leader of that team, Roy Williams, veteran cornerback Aaron Glenn, nose guard Jason Ferguson, and outside linebacker DeMarcus Ware, who has missed also several OTAs. Several. So that means plural, right? DeMarcus Ware, Hall of Fame, leader, can do no wrong. I mean, he's the perfect model citizen that if Micah Parsons can turn out to be DeMarcus Ware, we are good. He missed OTAs. Yeah. Do you think there was even questions about DeMarcus Ware's leadership back then?
No, of course they'll say it was a different era, sir.
Yeah. Different eras, right? Different eras, right?
Yeah, different eras. Differently back then.
Was it that different? Because if you continue to read the article, right, and Mike McCarthy, I think he kind of mentioned this in his press conference.
Because Bill Parcells is there.
Bill Parcells,
disciplinary.
Disciplinary, hard nosed. Yeah. So there was let's read the articles. Read as a family, right? This is you guys can all look this up. This isn't Photoshop. This isn't Jay Tuck and Nix is doing some voodoo magic on you, right? So it says, okay, so maybe this isn't really big news after all. Wasn't it the philosopher or poet Darren Hamburg, this is who Mike McCarthy was speaking about in the press conference, who said, what do voluntary mean, or what does voluntary mean? Yes, these are voluntary activities being conducted out at Valley Ranch, and veterans have a long history of skipping these things. Except for veterans on Bill Parcells' team. So you can't go off all half-cocked and scream that it's doom of the Western civilization because some guys skipped some voluntary workouts. This is an article. I didn't type this. Y'all know I don't type. This is right here. I don't do no typing. I'll do some tweeting, but I don't do no typing. You know what I'm saying? So when you hear that, Nix, what is your thoughts? Because what they're saying is, listen, some veteran players have missed voluntary. It's just voluntary is not that big of a deal. I pulled up Jim Harbaugh's message about Lamar Jackson. He said it's just a voluntary season right now. It's when the mandatory counts. Mike McCarthy even says that mandatory is when it counts. Micah Parsons is there for the mandatory. So why is there a different narrative specifically for Micah Parsons when we know this happens frequently in the NFL, whether he said that he's going to be more vocal on the sidelines or not?
Man, some of it is from particular people, media or fan base, and it's still that we want to put the blame for what them not being in the playoffs on someone.
Somebody, right?
And so we got to blame somebody,
right?
And unfortunately, with Micah, podcast, whatever. I mean, who cares about a damn podcast? I don't understand.
You guys are watching Run right now.
Right. Brock Hoffman has a podcast. No one's telling him, hey, you need to be battling for the #1 center.
Right. Yeah, man. Get off that. He had a Trey Lance interview. What are you talking about? We got Cooper Beebe. You need to focus.
You need to get in there and figure it out.
Right.
So, but they're looking for something. And then, then he does speak to the media.
Right.
And we get a whole bunch of, tweets.
Right.
Text, but we don't see no video.
Mm-hmm.
And then that hits the fan because without context, you don't know where it's at.
Right.
You're just reading it. And and that's the one thing I always talk about is whenever you're reading text, you don't understand the content. You don't understand the vibe of it, right?
Right.
Body language is big in tone. You don't get the tone of it.
Right.
So you can take it and read what it says. Like, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. I could be like, Knicks, man, I don't do like that. And y'all could be like, oh, Tuck and Knicks were just joking around playing. But if you type it, Jay Tuck said he doesn't. BJ Knicks.
Right. And then the video comes out. It's one of the first things I tweeted this morning. I was like, hey, look, everyone, please watch the actual video.
Right.
In the interview, of course, they kind of flash, like you said, they flash dropped that thing at
midnight. It was a late night release. They dropped in the middle of the night. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. So you have those other things that people wants to be mad at somebody, and of course, right around time, and when it's time for someone to get paid,
right?
Look, we've seen it whenever it was with Dak and Zeke and Dez. I mean, just across the line, when everything's all good till it's time to get paid,
right?
And then whatever we can look at, he wasn't he said leadership,
but he said, but that word leadership,
that leadership word. Oh my God! I'm like, man, what are we? Am I AI boys? It's about voluntary.
Voluntary,
not
bro.
Not mandatory.
Right.
Voluntary,
bro. Yeah, and that's where we're talking.
Mad, though.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? We're talking about voluntary OTAs, right? Well, people say, okay, well, I don't care about the OTAs, Knicks, right? You know what I'm saying? But Micah also spoke about him and Zim, that he hasn't spoken to Zim and he's not going to compromise. And that's just showing some selfishness, right? So it's just like, okay, I can get it, right? If you kind of understand if he's not going to compromise, I can see maybe, right? But once again, Knicks, what if I told you that DeMarcus Ware bullied Bill Parcells into letting him rush for the Cowboys, edge rush for the Cowboys?
No way.
Not the leader.
Not Big Tuna.
Not the leader.
Bullied by the leader.
Not the Big Tuna was bullied by the leader. This is at the Dallas Morning News, right? DeMarcus Ware on how he bullied Bill Parcells and letting him rush for the Dallas Cowboys. Crazy, right? So let's get into the article just a little bit, and then we'll move on and get to some real football stuff. And here's the reason why, right? We're still sitting on this. When me and Knicks have started this whole thing, what has been the reoccurring theme that we've spoken about a lot of times? It's not the scheme, it's not the coaches that we want to change, it's not the quarterback, it's not the wide receivers or even the defense. It is the culture. And what you guys are seeing go on, and that's partaking with the players, whether it's Micah Parsons, whether it's CeeDee Lambs and all these smear campaigns and bringing legal attorneys on for that, like these things add up towards the culture. And just think about this, y'all. Imagine trying to go to work every day and you have Julie and Mark and James and they're always slandering you every time you get to the damn. Is that the proper work environment that you want to go to every day? And you really can't say anything back, because if you say something back to Julie and James, you're going to be, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm trying to tell Cowboys fans. At the end of the day, and I put this on Twitter, I don't want anything from the Cowboys players. I just want a championship. And I just think bagging on players for every little thing and harping on their name when they're doing nothing wrong is counterproductive to the ultimate goal that all of us watching this show right now is trying to accomplish, right? So let's talk about it, right? So So Bill Parcells, we all know the story, right? Bill Parcells wanted Sean Merriman. That was Sean Merriman's guy, right? You know what I'm saying? Bill Parcells wanted Sean Merriman. They went ahead, Jerry Jones went ahead and got DeMarcus Ware. The rest is kind of history, right? But he said that Sean Merriman might be Rookie of the Year, and he would come in and say, you know, Sean had 3 sacks. You didn't have any, right? Damn, Sean had 3 sacks. You didn't have any. Sean Merriman might be Rookie of the Year. I don't know if you'll be able to do that. I looked at him in the face-to-face and said, why don't you stick me outside like Sean Merriman and see what I can do? Okay. He looks at me and says, I don't coach rec league players. Bill Parcells is cutthroat, bro. Oh, okay. Bet.
Oh,
and
hey, yo.
He says, so this is what happened, right? Bill Parcells, I do not coach rec league players. I want you to do what I tell you to do. Okay. All right. No compromise. You just do what the coach tells you to do, right? I said, you give me the opportunity to rush outside. I bet you $1. And he loves to bet. He said, I'll give you a sack. I bet you $1. I'll give you a sack if you let me rush outside. So everyone in the comments comment, doesn't that sound like there was a compromise?
Sounds like somebody won a lot of dollar bills.
Sound like there was a compromise. Sound like there was a compromise. He's on the sideline. He motions to get outside. I get outside and I get a sack. I turn around and I'm like a kid because I'm a rookie and I got Bill Parcells to nod like, okay, you can play outside. From that point on, I played outside. Bill Parcells compromised with DeMarcus Ware. And the rest is history. The rest is history. Dallas Morning News is not the J Tuck CFO Sports. I can go, but I ain't written articles on there. Dallas Morning News. DeMarcus Ware on how he bullied Bill Parcells into letting him rush off the edge. There was a compromise. So for all the people yesterday, it was like Micah wants to be a compromise and do things. It goes like that with a lot of players. I mean, Nix, you play sports. I play sports. Sometimes as coaches, you have to bend a little bit and say, you know what? All right, I'm going to let you do it. And if it doesn't work, then we're going to do things my way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
This is how the game works, right? And again, it's just back to everyone's in this ready to attack and in this frenzy of wherever it is when it comes to Micah. And what I found from his comments in the video, I thought was very important. And we've talked, things that we've talked about before is when it's time to get money, negotiating through the paper, different things. Those things happen, right? But the one thing I've always talked to you about, and I've always said, it's going to be interesting with these guys because they operate differently than the previous gens.
Right.
And here's what Micah said yesterday, and I said, yeah, see, that hits different because he's not going to sit there and just let things happen. Because there's people get paid a lot of money to be here voluntarily. I'm not.
Right. Yeah.
I said, oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Right there.
But, and what is he and translate what is he really saying, right? He's saying that some players who are made men in Dallas have it in their contract that they have to be at these voluntary practices. For example, Lamar Jackson just got fined a whole lot of money for not being at voluntary camps. When you are a rookie or still in a rookie contract, you don't have those structured in your contract. So that's what he's saying. If y'all pay me to be there, I will be there. But as of right now, I'm taking care of my body. And here's what I ask everybody in the chat or anybody watching this show. Do you think if Micah went through 2 walkthroughs a week ago, that now officially he's the leader? That's all it was going to take. That's all it would have took. You know what I'm saying? That's all it would have took is to attend a few walkthroughs, and now he's the leader, right? There's a lot more that you have to do. Right, it's not gonna, it's not gonna be right now. It's gonna have to carry throughout the season, and this is my whole thing, Nick. You have to let these players grow. We want everybody to be a Dak Prescott, and let's be honest, Dak kind of came in a little bit, but he got off, earlier than Zeke did, right? Because he was in the club doing some stupid stuff too, but then he realized, I kind of got to pin me, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, Zeke, you can go do your thing, bro. But I kind of got, because the responsibility was different, right? You have to let players grow, and you have to let them lead their way. Maybe lead isn't showing up to mandatory OTAs. Maybe it's taking my defensive team out to the movies to go watch Bad Boys for Life, and we all bond and have drinks and chill out. Maybe it's something else, right? But it's going to be defined different ways, man.
Well, and God forbid, let's go ahead and hold the coaching staff speak to the Flames, because guess what? They're not going to practice tomorrow.
Right.
They're going to have a team building.
Right. Yeah.
They're going to have a team building.
Right.
They're not going to practice. So,
right.
What kind of leadership is that showing, not having the practice?
Right.
Everybody thinks they should be our press, like, remember the Titans.
Right. Yeah.
Rain
tour days. Well, here's the crazy thing. We did that, and we got fined for it. Like, Micah got hit for it. You know what I'm saying? So he had it. So yeah, they are canceling practice. Today was the last day of OTAs. They are canceling to go do some team bonding. So it's just like, it really wasn't that big of a deal, but I felt like strategically, a lot of people made a much bigger issue than it needed to be. Micah missed voluntary OTAs last year. He was in Austin training. He was at mandatory last year as well. He wasn't there. He said he wanted to take care of his body. His son had kindergarten graduation. He wanted to be there with his family. He hasn't talked to Coach Zimmer, but who's the most important piece from the talk to? Coach Gunther, who's the running defensive game coordinator, right? So he's been in constant contact with Gunther, not with Coach Zimmer. People forget Coach Zimmer's a DB guy. Like, he's not like Dan Quinn that focuses on the defensive tackle. Like, that's not his specialty, right? So he's been in contact with the people with the important pieces, just not Coach Zimmer. Now, me personally, I was like, Coach Zim should have called Mike as soon as he got the job, but here nor there, right? But it's like, he's in contact with the players. He's in contact with the coaches. He's aware of what's going on, and he's there right now. I don't understand it. So I think, like, and this is what I want to talk about, this manufactured, Nick. So, we get so frustrated with the ESPNs and the Stephen A's and the Skip Bayless. Sometimes we curate lazy stories our damn selves that really doesn't need to be a story, to be honest with you.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. And look, right, because something we talked about last year during this time, right? There's not a lot of meat on the bone, especially from now until July. You know, the Cowboys might sign someone or they get an extension done. Sure, you got something to talk about, and then it's gone. For those that it is their actual job, right?
Right.
In the local market, whatever, they do have to create, content, on that stuff, even with, obviously the Mavs in the finals. But they're looking for things. To me, I just feel like there's other ways to go about it, and that's how I personally feel. And obviously they feel like, hey, I'm going to do it that way. And it gets the base riled up. But I do want to take one thing, too, from Jane Sayre that she happened to say, and I found it interesting throughout the whole Micah saga yesterday being interviewed, was that and this is her words, that Mike McCarthy is taking on the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I found it interesting to use challenge
Mm-hmm.
of speaking with Micah now that Dan Quinn's gone on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, challenge. I was like, it's an intriguing word.
Right.
It's a phrase like that was challenge.
Mm-hmm.
But just to kind of circle back to maybe not talking to Zimmer yet and talking to Paul, the run game coordinator, but obviously, and we heard this from the voluntary, right? Let's be clear. McCarthy said, I've had conversations.
Right.
I understand where he's at.
Right.
I know what he's doing.
Right.
And I thought that was a good way. Forget the challenging part, but for her to come back yesterday and kind of talk about that Mike McCarthy's taking that role on, and Micah spoke about how valuable that's been for him. It goes back to in the voluntary time when he wasn't here, Coach McCarthy said they're telling you,
right.
Hey, I know what's going on.
I know what's going on. Right. Yeah. It's and I think that's the point. Like, I feel like why was there a press, right? Because Mike McCarthy was actually asked that today in the press conference, and he kind of was like, yeah, I talked to Micah, like he's just having that connection because he's like, Micah's a big personality. Like, the types of players that you have on your team, right? And you really don't want to have a lion out there with someone without some entertainment. So, I think that it's good. He's like, but Mike McCarthy doesn't even talk to him about football. It's kind of the same thing with Dak. These are your guys. If I'm Mike McCarthy and I'm on a 1-year deal, the 3 people I'm like this with is Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons, and CeeDee Lamb. Like it'll say like that's who I'm with. Like, I'm calling you every day. What's going on, bro? Like, you need anything, you're good, because if you're not good, I'm not good. So it's like I understand what they're Mike McCarthy's trying to say, and I think that's why he really kind of got upset in the first press conference. He was like, bro, I already answered this question about Micah. Like, he's good. Like, what else do you want to hear? But I felt like for some reason there was like this massive kind of press to get this Micah story. And like I said, I understand it, like you said, Nix, but here's what I want to say, man. And salute to the Lunatic Man for the $2 super chat. Support new Cowboys media, sign Dak. Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a second. And salute to my guy Rohit with the $5 super chat, man. He gave us the lie with that DeMarcus Ware right at the buzzer, man. We came to and slammed it down, and I was like, yeah, man. But that's the power of new our community, right? We're all just trying to find answers, and we want to win, but we want the proper context, right. Let Micah do something stupid, then we'll respond, right? If Micah goes out and pulls a Rashee Rice, well, then we'll be the first ones to jump on, like, bro, you got to be better than that. Like, that's stupid, right? But it's just like all over this, when we did the draft content on Micah, what was our big questions, our red flags, right? The maturity thing. And I'll say from my end, Knicks, he's done a lot better than I expected. You know what I'm saying? Like if a podcast, that's the worst that I got out of this, bro, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm good, man. So, like I said,
how crazy is it though? But how crazy is it though that people are really out here? Let's go trade Micah,
bro. It's
beyond me,
bro. I had my video yesterday, and so some people think, oh, Cowboys fans don't be saying that. Y'all just making it up. Go look at my video comment section, bro. It's a whole list. I didn't even have time to respond. I just liked and cleared them out, right? It's a massive list of trade Micah, get him out of here, don't want him, he's selfish, he's not like so this thing has spiraled out of control. It's not just gonna kind of like like the CD drops thing was kind of no, this is a mega thing, and I just feel like some of y'all are not going to be able to come back. When Knicks and Pick Six Sports had to post that Micah Parsons is unblockable. I don't want y'all getting no goosebumps, man. Keep it over there. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like you were saying, it's drought season, but I honestly think when it comes to some of the media members, yes, they're kind of set in their ways, right? They're comfortable, and rightfully so, but they just don't. I guess they don't believe that Cowboys fans want more. I think they think that we really just want low-hanging fruit. Micah, Dak interceptions, and Derek Eagleton never respond. Like, he's just like Trayvon, like, brother, but there's a lot more meat on the bone, no diddy, if you will, that Cowboys fans really want to know, which I think we're about to get into here in seconds. It's like, you know what? I get it. I have no problems or beef with anybody. I don't know any of these people, but I feel like right is right and wrong is wrong. And just like us, if I report something wrong, people are going to cross-check me and fact-check me. The same thing. We get it 1,000 times. If I mention a draft prospect's name and I have it spelled wrong in the slide, oh my God, all hell broke.
It's over.
Yeah. It's over. It's not Sevalia, it's Sevalia. Like, oh, my bad, bro. My bad. You got me. So it's just one of those things, man. So listen, Cowboys Nation, for me personally, and probably speak for Knicks, I really just want to put this Micah thing to rest. I don't know, Micah. Go barefoot to the Mavs game if you go tomorrow. I don't know, bro. Like, just I don't know. But they have a target on your back. You just got to kind of chill a little bit, But ultimately, y'all, I want to get to football because there's a lot more pressing needs, man. Any last words on Micah before we pivot?
I mean, this is at the lightning rod that it is, right? And this is entering into the Zeke and Dak level of being a lightning pole. Remember, they were at home trying to close out Minnesota. They showed up to the game, and it was all hell broke loose. Don't go to the game and all that. Well, guess what? The series before that, guess who was there in the closeout game?
Right.
Micah, and they closed it out.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, make it make sense.
But his shoes, Knicks. But his shoes.
Oh, shoes.
But his shoes. And it's just like
just so crazy to be at this juncture at it. Of Micah just going to a game and what that matters to a basketball game.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's echoed. Sure, I won't completely let Micah per se off the hook. I think there are certain things that he said prior to this that are valid.
Right.
But overall, though, this is a very huge. Like, everybody wants to win.
Right.
Everybody wants Micah to be that guy.
Right.
And Micah's like, look, man, when I had to be here, I'm here. Let's just take it from that. And like you said, we're going to be out in Oxnard for a long time.
Right, long time. It's even longer because they got the scrimmages. They'll be out there for Vegas. Like, there's going to be a lot of time to be out there stuck in a hotel room with each other. And I think people don't understand that. Like, it takes a lot out of you. I was only out there for a week and I was ready to go home. So it's like, I was like, bro, okay, by Saturday, I was like, man, I've done enough. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you got to understand, like, these players don't take really rest, like probably take like a week rest, go on vacation too, then back to training, back. Like, so you want to, hell, even me as a content creator, I'm running on threads. I haven't even took a break yet, with the draft and everything. So it's like, here in a few weeks, I'm going to take a break, so it's like, you got to rest yourself and fully recover. And we're talking about a player who's only missed one game due to out of his control. He's played with the flu, let him get his mind and his body right, because I want Micah Parsons on full go. And if that's what if he has to miss 2 walkthroughs to get that, cool. Now if we're sitting back and saying, man, if he would have been those walkthroughs, man, that would have changed it.
All the difference in the world.
That would have changed it, bro. He missed them walkthroughs. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay.
He would have been a leader then, though.
Right. Oh yeah. Right. Yeah.
Now he can't be a leader. The whole season, Micah, no leadership. He wasn't involuntary.
Yeah.
OTAs. Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
Rules. I don't make them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So Sam Williams was at voluntary. So does that make Sam Williams more of a leader than Micah? Because
Yes. Those are the rules, Tuck. Yes. Those are the rules.
You got to do the extra credit assignments, man. But salute to everyone in the chat, man. We got over 120 people in here watching, man. So keep the chats up, keep the likes up, man. We're gonna get back to football, man, because that's what we do best. Like we can't do. Some of us don't do the chatty patty stuff. I can't, but I feel like we can never progress unless we just put this to rest. Because anytime I drop something, it's like, well, Micah sucks. Micah's late. I'm just like, God, man, can we just move on, people, and get back to work, man? So Knicks, my guy, bro. So today, last day of OTAs, there's a lot of takeaways. And here's what I'll say, y'all. I mean, when it comes to OTAs, you got to take things with a grain of salt. They're not banging in pads. They're not being at full tilt, full goal. But, some of the nuggets that I kind of picked up, and we'll kind of go through it on the list here, was Nicole, salute to Nicole. She asked a question to Mike McCarthy about Wanye Thomas, and he spoke very highly about, I mean, he lit up when he spoke about Wanye. He said he has a glowing personality. He's always ready to go. He has the great energy. Like, he's always willing to be a hard worker. He spoke very highly about Wanye, even though he's my Madden punching bag, right? So, when it comes to this safety room, what's your thoughts on how Mike Zimmer might utilize these guys? Because, honestly, we have Donovan Wilson. We know what Malik is going to be playing the free. So the conversation really comes down to Marquise Bell. Is he the J-Ron guy, or do you have it, being more of a Wanye or kind of a, separate package? What's your thoughts on that, how that'll be utilized?
Yeah, I think also, let's not forget, they added 3 undrafted rookie
Julius Woods with the big game, James. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, that made me perk up. That was the biggest position that they added for the undrafted side. And also, let's not leave out McQuamu. Where's he going to land this
right.
week? Is he going back to corner now, or kind of where that is?
Now to pause you there, when we had Wanye on the show, he says that they view Izzy as positionless. He's going to be corner and safety. So wherever that means.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there it is. So, but I think what's interesting is, right, it's new coach. He's got 1 year, right, coaching for the job, right, Zimmer. But these aren't his guys. So, yeah, we can say we can follow the money a little bit, obviously, right?
Right.
Where Hooker and Donovan is. But I think that's open. It's open free reign for everybody else because you got to show him. It's a different set. Yeah, sure, you got Al Harris here to kind of give him the A's, the B's, and the C's about these guys or whatnot. But his scheme asks him to do some different things where it goes. Look, Wanye for me with Wanye Thomas last year. And I was speaking with my guy Lando about this as we were doing some work over there for the Pro Sports Fan app. Was he got reps early in the season? Well, every time he was on the field, seemed like good stuff followed.
Right.
And then we just didn't see him anymore.
Right.
So, I would expect him to get more burns and get more of an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Bell will be interesting because Bell saw you to get to play safety in your second year, go play linebacker, and now go back to now go back to safety. I'm interested there. Turn except I guess I'm low. Can you hear me, Tuck?
I can hear you straight. I don't want to blast you. I got you cranked.
Turn me up too, but that's fine. But yeah, I'm all in on Wanye from what I saw him last year and whatever he was able to do,
right?
When he had them opportunities, and I think that brings us full force this year because if you look at what Zimmer likes to do, I think that fits Wanye in a lot of ways.
Right? Yeah, and I agree, and I think he's the biggest ace. Now, here's where I'll have the conversation. We'll talk about this as we dive more into the scheme as we get to the camp. If it's me, what I think fits Zimmer is you have Malik Hooker, you have Wanye, and then you have Marquise Bell. And more Donovan Wilson might be the odd man out. But politics, contracts, veteran, those types of things come into play. So we'll see how it all fills out. But it's good, right? Because so many times when we were doing these shows, when we first started, just get a safety. Just get a safety. Salute to my guy Spoonie, man. He was wanting to get rid of Xavier Woods. Or can we say that name now? Spoon, we can say the name now. He's good.
Right.
But it's like we just wanted a safety, and now we got so many. It's like, how do we utilize them all? So I think that's going to be one of the most interesting rooms as we get out to camp. Like I said, Mike McCarthy spoke very highly about Wanye Thomas. Another nugget, man, Mike McCarthy spoke about the ACL recovery is going well when it comes to Overshown, also John Stevens, and also Trayvon Diggs. So they said they're going to take the timetable, kind of fairly with it and take things slow. Typically, the Cowboys don't do that. So what do you think how, things are kind of work out with Overshown, and should we temper our expectations for Diggs and O?
ACL injuries, right?
Right.
How they've kind of worked out for the Cowboys over the past couple of years, whether that's Michael Gallup, Steele, we've kind of seen some things there. Now, obviously, one thing they did say was, the Diggs wasn't as severe when it comes to that. But, I mean, you're asking a lot to do a lot. Right? You should feel more confident about Overshown because it happened sooner or further away than Diggs, but slow playing, man. Look, why burn him out? It's great that they're getting work done right now.
Right.
Is Diggs going to be the same guy he was before he left? Probably not till halfway through the season.
Right.
If we're being honest, with those injuries, it's great to have him back, but man, it's to your full year. That's what everyone talks about, right? You got to get a full year removed. And then, things start happening that right way. When you think about that, that's got to be about week 3 for him, week 4 of the season for Diggs to kind of get there. Overshown maybe a little bit sooner. At least they've padded those two positions, unlike defensive tackle on the team right now.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay, got you. But you went and drafted a linebacker. You signed a linebacker. Okay, you filled that room out some to help you out there. You went and drafted a cornerback as well too. So you're helping yourself out there if you need to balance that while those injuries are coming back. So with the depth they have, I want them to be patient. Look, I know they've said time again, they'll be ready to go, no pup list in the training camp.
Right.
I'm not so sure on that. And if we're being honest, Mike McCarthy actually kind of put some water on those flames in the second week or first week of OTAs. I can't remember which one. And he's like, hey, we'll get to the physicals to kind of see what happens and where it goes. So Yeah, I mean, look, if they start on the pup list, I'm not worried about that. Look. We need these guys to be here, right? We need things from them. So slow play them if you have to get them right. So yeah, I don't know if they're going to hit the ground running to Oxnard, but they're on the pup list. I'm not concerned about it. Let's just make sure we take care of them the right way.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, slow play it, man. Don't rush it, because we've seen it so many times where it's like, bro, you're white out there, like Michael Gallup, Tristan Hill, like the list goes on and on, where he's kind of rushed out there and look like a shell of himself. So hopefully that's not the case. Now, John Stevens returning back from tight end. We did report there's an injury today with Peyton Hendershot, and he had an injury.
So he was going to be out. It was because of the ankle, but he had a medical procedure today that wasn't to do with the ankle.
Yeah, there was something else, right? So I'm not sure what's really going on, or are they trying to play roster games early? I'm not sure, right? So I feel like when it comes to this tight end room, it's definitely going to be a position to watch, because me personally, I think Hendershot's going to be the odd man out. So I mean, because you're going to have Ferg, they're going to give Schoon the opportunity, and then you got Stevens returning, and then you got
Spawn Ford.
Yeah, Spawn Ford, everyone is hyped on. So it's like, I think those four guys will kind of go into play, Peyton Hendershot. So how do you think that overall works out as we get to camp, especially now with Hendershot having this surgery?
Yeah. I mean, here's the question. Let me ask you this. Are they going to carry 3 or 4?
Oh, roster games.
See, that's where I'm kind of at, because, look, if they're carrying 3, look, just go ahead and book the 3 right now.
Right.
It's Ferguson, it's Schoonmaker, it's Spawn Ford.
Oh, so you think Spawn Ford gets it over Stevenson? Or John Stevens?
So. Yeah, he's a McCarthy guy. And you look at the money they gave him. So
undrafted. And can you loop him back through waivers?
Yeah, so
that's a good conversation piece.
See, to me, he's the Hunter Lipke of this undrafted class. All he needs to do is show up and say, yeah, what we thought you were, you're here.
Right.
That's where it's at. Now, if he gets a 4, then I think that's where Hendershot and Stevens comes into play.
That's going to be a good camp thing to talk about.
It is. It's a good battle. It's a good battle. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a great battle.
Because honestly, before the injury happened, Stevens looked up here compared to Schoonmaker.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and if you've seen the pictures of him already and whatnot, he's like that. What Ovach say, that peanut butter.
Yeah, all season peanut butter. Yeah,
yeah, and which is great for him, because you can see he looked like a wide receiver last year, starting to fold out and look a little more like a tight end. Getting that beef up.
Put that size on, man. Kind of like Overshown, man. Like sometimes because Overshown was like, man, doing those prison push-ups, man, because you can't run or do anything, man. So he's on the cell, man.
Right.
Push-ups getting big, man. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that tight. I think that's gonna. I mean, course, y'all know I love the tight end position, man. So I mean, we could just trade 3 of them and just get one out of Atlanta and just. This is a package deal, man. We'll see how that fares out. But I think that Schoonmaker, he also has an injury as well that they're talking about. Right. So it's just like, all right, bro, we'll see, right? Because Schoonmakers will always be the kind of the head scratcher moment when it comes to what the Cowboys did in that draft. Now, we got to talk about it, because I think this is going to be the biggest story as we get to the camp. I'm not looking forward to it. Trey Lance mania. Is it hype? Is it like? Because I see, Trey Lance, he hit Jalen Tolbert for a 40. It was one of the best balls he's thrown out. And then it's like Trey Lance has been intercepted 2 times. He looked inconsistent. Yeah. So once again, y'all's like, who do you believe? So what's your thoughts on this Trey Lance situation? How does it all play out? Is it? I don't know.
Yeah. Look, they want a return on investment, right? He's going to get every opportunity. Remember how they were using Greer last year, especially like in the preseason. Hey, he's going to get more than Greer got last year. Right. I'm telling you right now.
Oh yeah.
And look, he'll have every opportunity to win the number 2 spot. They're probably wanting him to win the number 2 spot. I mean, neither him or Rush are on the roster next year from a contractual standpoint, anyways. But the more you can build him up, whether you get a trade come in for him, or once he leaves, somebody signs him, you get a better comp pick. They love the comp pick game around here. Yeah. So, they're going to display him as much as possible to get some return on that 4th round pick they spent on him last year.
Yeah. And that's what I really think it is. I think it's just for the quarterback 2 spot, to be honest with you. Now, if Dak says, know what, tomorrow I'm finally going to sign the extension, I think the whole Trey Lance thing kind of goes away, and then they build him up to move him out, right? Because I think they're just going to stick with Cooper Rush. But I don't know, y'all. I really don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see how things fare out. I'm gonna ask you because I know you've been the leader of the campaign to sign Dak. When do we get this deal done? Does it get done before camp? Because we know once we get to Oxnard, Dak typically shuts down. How you feeling, man? Because honestly, I'm not feeling good right now.
Hey, when is the Jerry Jones 10-part series launch on Netflix? What's the date on that?
I haven't even looked, man. I need to cancel my Netflix.
Yeah. What's the date on that? The day before is when they're going to sign it.
Right, bang.
They're going to sign Dak, and then here's the 10, and then here's the Jerry.
On episode one, right? On episode one,
yeah.
You know, like
doing good business here, doing good business. They're going to get the deal done. Look, again, and this is really what I've told you when you want to listen to me. Business is business,
right?
And sometimes, no matter what, there's a lot of things that are happening around you in business, and it can feel like it can go a lot of different ways. Prototypically, here's what it is. Typically, the thing that makes the most sense is typically what happens,
right?
And it's typically the right thing as well, even though there's all these different things that are swirling in different concepts or whatever. But usually, common sense comes into play and it gets done.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that they have operated that says they don't want to get him back here. Their deadline to me is probably in Oxnard. Is probably where it's at. And then we go back to the very beginning, right? Slater said back in February, March, that they'll get it done in August.
Mm.
In which, they get there the late July 23rd, 24th, they'll be in Oxnard, and you get it done from that point. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's going to get done. Whether that gets done prior to camp or as they get to camp, I believe it'll be somewhere in that model. The only worrisome there would be for them is, okay, if it lingers in the camp and it's over in camp 2 weeks, whatever, and then Dak says, hey, I'm just going to shut it off until the off season. And then that becomes something. But Dak wants to be there too.
Right.
That's why I said there's not really a whole lot of hard feelings when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's happening. Never mind Dak. I don't play for the money. All that wild mess that was out here and spinning around.
Right.
So yeah, they'll get it done. Like I said, it'll be before the season. It will be before the season. They'll get it done.
Now,
and the Cowboys know, right?
Now, does it get done before CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah. Oh no. Well, it shouldn't. Right now, like, here's the reason why. As soon as Jefferson got signed, we're done here.
Right.
Sign Lamb.
Right.
It's over.
Yeah.
There's no more leaves on the wide receiver tree.
Well, there's some more leaves, right? Because here's what I'm saying. My biggest concern with the Cowboys is, okay, Jefferson set the market. We're cool. We're going to sit back and kind of wait. And all of a sudden, well, Chase comes. Here comes Jamar Chase, then Brandon Ayuk comes, like, okay, well, then it starts.
Ayuk don't get that money, though. Now, Chase might. Chase that 28 to 32.
Chase, well, I know Tyreek Hill mentioned that I know that Tyreek Hill mentioned that he was going to go get back in the market, too. So, you know what I'm saying? So, I think that the priority should be CeeDee Lamb to get him done, get him back in camp, right? Because you don't want him missing camp. And then Dak Prescott and then Micah Parsons will be next year. It just is what it is. So, we'll see how
that's how they like to move too. And to your point, though, that's how they like to move. As much as we'd like to see some of these guys, let's talk about the fundamental issue for the Cowboys.
Right.
Okay, here's their motto: we like our guys. We draft well. We sign our own. That's why we don't do things externally. And you had 8 All-Pros last year.
Right.
The problem is you don't sign your guys in a proficient way.
Right.
That's what hurts you because they like to wait for their first rounders. We're going to sign you in year 4.
Right.
Instead of doing it in year 3. Because
right.
Guess what? If you got CeeDee Lamb done last year, he would have topped out at $30 million.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's going to cost you $35 to $37 million per.
Right. And that's kind of the story right now. What's going on with D. Smitty in Philly? Like, people say, "Oh, you signed a bad deal," but he was like, "Man, like, I want to get off that rookie deal." They went ahead and got it done. They took care of me early. So then you're able to kind of do yourself a favor by signing these players early. So, like, I think that's the thing, like you said, being proactive. And the Cowboys are always just very last minute. There was a report today, right? $1 billion franchise, less spent, on the actual team.
The Cowboys have spent less than $100 million this offseason.
Right.
That's criminal.
Dave Ramsey would be proud, man. Dave Ramsey would be proud. The Cowboys don't use no credit card. They don't use no debts. No spending, anything. They don't go above that budget, man. Like, hell, man. But I was just like, but it's crazy. But like I say,
but here's the thing. At the end of the day, right? Just simply put, I can buy the philosophy if you handle it efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
that's okay because they do draft well.
Right.
We understand that. Okay, you draft well, then sign your guys early.
Right.
That's how you stay ahead of the curve.
Osa.
Yeah. Now, guess what?
Right.
This year we'd have to use the franchise tag. Look.
Right. Yeah.
Look at that.
We couldn't. We really like Osa. We couldn't sign him because we have to take care of Micah. Gotta give Micah. And it's like,
oh my goodness!
It's so damn predictable. That's the thing I hate. Like, cause I already see it coming. You guys can clip and bookmark this. They will use Micah's contract as a reason why they're not in. You also got to deal with Deron Bland too. And
Micah's the new Dak.
Yeah. Mike is going to be the new Dak. Well, we would like to go get these guys, but and it's just frustrating, man. Frustrating. But speaking of wide receivers,
sure.
Jalen Tolbert, you have Brooks, you have Ryan Flannery, kind of had some good big catches. They're seeing a lot of Dez comparisons. So ultimately, when we get out there, man, who do you think is going to win the wide receiver, 3 spot? I mean, I think it comes down between the two Jalens, to be honest with you. But who do you think really has a shot to be that guy? I mean, will they give Turpin the opportunity? I got a video coming on Turpin here soon, but he's going to be kind of your gadget.
I mean, Tuck, you want to talk about our newest slot wide receiver out there, Deuce Vaughn?
Deuce. Now, here's how. This is how I know how Cowboys fans can waver and be so fickle, right? At camp, there was a massive line around the block for Deuce. I mean, Deuce was the biggest star out there. Deuce chants, autographs, lined up around the block, man. And then it's just, get rid of him. He sucks. See, I want to cut him. He's not going to make the team. I was like, damn, bro, you went from this to this, all of it. Like, kind of pump your brakes, Cowboys nation. But yeah, Deuce in the slot, no. I think he's going to be more of your kind of your spell back, change your pace back, but you work on a few different things, but I think Deuce is capable to kind of be a wide receiving running back, coming out of K-State, but a slot, nah, ain't no way.
They said they put him in the room and locked him in there with Cole Beasley tape.
Yeah, okay,
so,
well, thanks.
I mean,
he'll come out with 80. He'll come out 88 stings or something like 80 stings. He'll come out rapid.
Here's the one thing about it I would say though. At least they're trying to find a role. Look, we understand you get Deuce the ball in space, he can create for you and do things.
Right.
So I like, and McCarthy's done this entire time of being in Dallas. This time of the year, before they get to Oxnard, they like to test and cross train and see things. Now, if it shows up at Oxford, we still see it. Maybe there's something to it, but we'll see when it gets there. But yeah, right. It seems like it should be between the two Jalens.
Yeah.
How much you want to sink into it, depending on who you want to listen to. It seems like Brooks is being a little bit more proficient right now, getting things done. Tolbert a little bit up and down. Flaherty, obviously, or Florida, excuse me. I don't want to get honey roasted for that. I'm gonna call him Ryan.
Yeah, I was going to go Ryan, man. I was going to call him Ryan, man.
But prototypical size and had a good day today at the camp. So it's interesting. I think for me though, getting through the OTAs in the camp now, it's kind of where it sits. And it's obviously it's early. We're not in camp, early, right? But I find it very interesting that they did bring in a Zay Jones, and I was like, because when they brought in Zay Jones, I was like,
right,
it's pretty interesting. Because I mean, if he comes in, you kind of feel like he would be the 3.
Right.
I don't think it would be a competition, But okay, we'll see what happens. And of course, he ended up signing with Arizona. I was like, And then kind of how the reports have kind of came about the wide receivers. I'm like, maybe there's something more to it than we know when it comes to that. So I don't know. Yeah, but to me, man, look. They probably want someone to get it right, the 3rd round pick. But hey, year 2 Brooks, man, he did a lot of great things at camp last year, and it's had another year to this system. It's going to be intriguing. I think it's definitely a battle with the Jalens.
Yeah,
and maybe old Ryan can make some moves.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how things. Because I mean, there's another Jalen, Marino Cropper, out of Fresno, who I had a good camp last year. So I mean, we got some guys out there. But do you think we should go get a guy? I just.
Here's the thing. Like I go. After Zay Jones left, I went and kind of looked. I'm like,
right.
I mean, does Michael Thomas have an ankle still? I don't know.
Right.
Right. Gage would be intriguing. Russell Gage. He's kind of in the same mold. Obviously, some injury stuff there.
Right.
So I don't. If there's a guy that's out there that moves you at wide receiver. But yeah, I just here's the thing that would be for them. if there was a legit concern about these guys, and that's why they really brought Zay Jones in, then you probably should have got the Zay Jones deal done, because that was the best guy probably left available.
Right.
That was out.
Yeah, but of course that costs money, right? It costs money, Nick. And we gotta pay our guys.
We're gonna pay him eventually. Eventually, we'll pay him.
Yeah, exactly. Eventually, when I get around to it, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gotta. You know what I'm saying? Like Stephen Jones is like that. You know what I'm saying? He's a call. Man, hey man, if you can give me an extension on my bill, you know what I'm saying? I promise I got you at the end of the month when I get my check, man. I ain't got it now, you know what I'm saying? We always asking for extensions, you know what I'm saying?
The check's in the mail. Just wait. The check's in the mail.
Checks in the mail, man.
It's in the mail.
Hey, man. Hey, before I got my act together, man, I was always calling my light company, man, let me get an extension, man. Bro, we gave you, I promise, man, you know, until I get back on my feet, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. All right, bro. So I'm not going to keep you too long, man, because you know how we can do. We can rock all damn night. So we talked about Mike McCarthy. He mentioned this in the press conference. He kind of, you know, gave a roundabout answer, but he also said something like how it impacts your family, you know, going into these 1-year deals. So me personally, Nix, this is my biggest question mark when it comes to the Cowboys. It's all the players and also the coaching staff on the 1-year deals. I know we've spoken about this, you know, behind the scenes. It just never really works out. And this is kind of my thing when it comes to, you know, Coach Zimmer and his staff. Like, how do you get players to buy in when the organization's not even bought in on you either? You know, like, you know what I'm saying? So how do you think that, you know, the mentality with this team, these 1-year deals, do you think they band together? Do you think, like, how do you think this all gets handled?
I hate it here, first and foremost. Okay.
Right.
Let me start right there. And it's a reality, right? It's a reality where they are right now. They have to deal with the circumstances that are laid in front of them.
Right.
This is the moments where you're like, this is why you have Dak.
Right.
Because a different quarterback that, you know, might have been around the Cowboys before, you know, maybe it doesn't work out.
Right.
But the way that Dak carries himself and the way that he leads, I think that's such a big difference for them with the way the situation is, you know, at least offensively, right? At least offensively. But Dak's the kind of guy where that leadership does cross over, I think, to the defensive side too. Right. You know, and where that gets into it. So that's the one caveat to this situation. There's not many, but it's like, okay, but we got 4, and the leadership he brings to the table, you know, it feels like you can have this stability, and especially which is also another reason why I think the deal gets done, because even then, their relationship, had an opportunity to speak with his brother Tad, and he's like, man, I think he might have knew about the baby before I did.
Right. Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And just talking, you know, about the relationship that McCarthy and Dak have. So Dak's the reason why that gives me hope that this can go the right direction. But man, you know, you gotta get there and see how these things work out. Yeah. It's just so much. There's just so much extra, right? And there's always extra around the Cowboys, anyways.
But there's a lot of extra now, this year. There's a lot of extra, and this is what I hate. It's like. And I always call Dak like he's the Instagram filter for an ugly chick. Like he just makes everything look beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Until you see him in person, like, bro, you're not that cute. But on Instagram, y'all remember everybody used to post like the little bunny ears and the little rabbit ear, like because it hide it all. You know, that's Dak Prescott. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like when you look at this team, it's just like, okay, you have a rookie left tackle. You know, your right tackle was kind of limpered last year. You ever have a rookie center. You know, wide receiver core is all right. Running back core is kind of all right. No defensive tackle. Like, coach on 1 year. Like, and it's like, Dak, go fix it. You know, like, it's just like, why do you have to play under all these mountains of pressure when you see, like, Pat Mahomes, bro, you can get Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown. Like, what else you need, bro? Whatever you need.
Look, he can show up with a dad bod. It don't matter.
Bro.
You know,
don't worry, bro. We got you. Don't worry at all, bro. It's good. What else do you need? You know what I'm saying? So I just think that's a lot.
Let me give you this, Tuck. Let me ask you this, right?
Let's keep rocking, man. Salute to my bros, DMV and Rome in the building, man. I see y'all.
Hey, what up, DMV? You know, and obviously, and O talked about this in the back channel about, you know, the lack of connection, talking, communication with Zimmer and the defensive players, right? And that kind of was making the rounds yesterday, and I was thinking about it and kind of going through it. I have a theory.
Okay.
I have a theory because Dan Quinn was right hat backwards. I got the J's on. We're buddy friends. We're kind of that realm. And we already know that Zimmer's more of the old school, hard nose. I feel like right now, it's going to change in Knoxstar for sure. But I think right now, out of the gate early, I think he's giving the marching orders to all of his, position coaches. And he's just watching. And he's setting the tone of, I'm here to coach you. I'm here to coach you. I'm not here to be your buddy. I don't got the hat backwards. And there's no disrespect to Quinn.
Right.
But we understand who he is. And you have to get guys on board, but you have to set the tone now and let them know, like, hey, it's different. And this is how it's different. My marching orders are there. I'm sitting back watching everything with a keen eye. And then when we get to Oxnard, you're going to learn to speak Zimmer, buddy. And I just think that's where he's at.
But see, that's where.
But if that works or not, I don't know.
And that's where I'm concerned, right? That's no different from a substitute teacher coming into the classroom trying to, tell you, this is what we're going to do, bro. Like, hold on. So I think that Zimmer, he's going to have to, I'll say this, not compromise. I don't want to trigger nobody. He's going to have to be flexible, right? You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to be flexible. And I know Zimmer can do this because I know you were with Jackson State, right? So you're able to relate to the new age players. So you can't come in with this iron fist. You're going to have to build relationship capital first, right? And I think it's going to be extremely important that he leans on Al Harris, because here's the one thing that I get frustrated when it comes to how the Cowboys are doing Zimmer. He only has one of his guys. He only has one of his guys. He'd be like, okay, no, this is how we do things. This is how we, train. Like, so it's going to be on Kendricks to kind of be that guy. Versus if you had two or three, like, nah, man, this is not how Zimmer, like you need three translators that people can really rally to. And my concern is the Cowboys defense in their mind, and I kind of agree, they've done well. It's not like they've been a horrible defense, right? So it's not going to be able to come in and fully break it. And this is what I was saying yesterday on Twitter. Like, I don't need you to fix the defense, Zim. Just don't break it. And we've seen when Mike Nolan came in, he wanted to do all these 3-4-4-3, and it was just like there wasn't no teaching going on. The players were tripping over their own feet. So I feel like when it comes to Zimmer, listen, we're going to take the things that you guys did well under Dan Quinn. We're going to keep that, but a few things we're going to tweak it and make it better, and this is going to be the compromise. So it's like we're going to do things my way a little bit, but we're going to do things your way a little bit too as well. You know what I'm saying? So, Trayvon Diggs, you can still play out of phase and, go after your interceptions, but this is what I really want too. So I think that's going to be important, but I think the relationship capital with Zim is going to be extremely, extremely important, where you can get these guys to really rally around you, because a lot of these guys are Dan Quinn guys. They've already been successful doing things their way. And if not, they might be like, man, this is a bull. Out Coach Harris, bro, I don't do, so I feel like it's going to be on Coach Al Harris. I feel like Greg Ellis is going to be a good voice to kind of come in and mentor, the Micahs and different players like that. And also, Gunther as well. You're going to need somebody to really relate.
Right, and of course, Greg Ellis, a Zimmer guy, right? Former player, which Slater mentioned this as well after the press conference, and said she spoke to a former defensive player, so this wasn't Kendricks, right? And said that, and it just asked about Zimmer, or asked about Micah Parsons' assessment of him, and he said, look, people get an idea of Zim in their head that isn't always accurate.
Right.
He is old school, but he's also smart and creative on how to get favorable matchups for a guy like Micah.
Right.
Once they actual work together, it won't really be compromised.
Right.
So, we'll see. It's just kind of where it is.
Yeah.
And again, to your point, like you said, don't break it. Tweak it.
Don't break it.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right, yeah.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel. But he's going to come in with his temperament, and that's why I said this. I'm not really communicating a ton yet. I'm just kind of looking and seeing, and then I'm going to really get into it once we get to training camp.
Right.
We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But and that's the thing, right? I think that's the question mark. We don't really know. I've been asking people, bro, can we get some more Zim interviews? They forget Mike McCarthy. Like, I want Zim to talk, right? But we really don't know much, right? Until we kind of get to training camp and be like, oh, that's where Izzy McQuamu's been playing. Oh, we haven't seen Nashawn Wright for him. Like, so that's where we kind of see things. But I will say this about Coach Zimmer: no matter what his scheme is, Go get him a goddamn defensive tackle, please. I mean, can we start there, man? You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, it's like you want someone to go out there and stop the run without any DTs. It's like me wanting me to go barbecue without any spatulas, bro. Go get him defensive tackles.
Man, 2 years ago, got rid of Mari Cooper, wide receiver was an issue.
Right.
All year long.
Yeah.
You know, so last year.
And not to cut you off. And we were saying we need more wide receivers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We banging the table. Like, hey, James Washington ain't it. We got to do something.
Right. Last year, linebacker. Mm-hmm. At the trade, at the cut deadline. Going since like, hey, we were out here banging the table. Man, we need more linebackers. Mm-hmm. That's before LVE got hurt. Mm-hmm. And you saw how that played out for us. And we're here again for the third year. Right. And now it's defensive tackle. Your two starters are out. They're supposed to be ready for, training camp. But they miss all OTAs and whatnot. Right. And Mozzie's at 305 with a shoulder. We'll see where that goes. Diesel with a hip. That leaves you with a 7th round pick in Rodgers out of Auburn. Right. A undrafted rookie free agent from Illinois. And Carl Davis off the practice squad. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's all you got. If we had to go today, that's it. And I'm like, even from a practice standpoint, that doesn't make sense. Like even just from this going through camp drills, like you gotta go get more bodies, and it's just like I would hate to kind of go into the league. Oh well, we're gonna sit back there, and Maz is gonna come back, and like no, bro, like we'll be sitting. Go get some defensive tackles. Go get some defensive tackles, and we'll be sitting back week 5, like bro. Why can't we stop the run? Well, they're not gonna run the perimeter because Nealon and Logan set the edge. It's gonna run right down the throats.
They're like, Kendrick sucks, man. Why can't he stop nobody? Right. Well, Kendricks is getting blown off the ball.
Right. Yeah. You have 2 guards in the center at the second level, just body slamming on because you have no bodies up front, and I think that's the frustration, man. Because we let Hankins walk and. For a difference of a few mils, so we'll have to sit back and wait and see. But my God, Knicks, bro, appreciate you for joining me as always, man. Always a pleasure. Y'all know we could have did this for 3-4 more hours, man. What's today? What's today? Wednesday? I can't do it. Yeah. Maybe I have to circle back around. We'll circle back around, man. Do one of those late nights, man. But for everyone who's seen you for the first time, my God, let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, man. Twitter and there's a TikTok out there. I got a couple things. I don't know, but. Man, just search your guy Knicks, your _guy _Knicks, NIX. You pretty much find me on all platforms. And then, of course, Pick 6, we're getting ready to ramp back up and get our preseason or our should say training camp series, breaking down all the different positions and what's there, the depth as we're getting into this camp battle. Pick 6 Sports on YouTube. Professor O, he's about to be back up and going. He had a little move action, some things happening there, so he's about ready to rock. My guy Dominant Spooney. So yeah, we're ready to get back in the old saddle here for a season 6 over there. So
here we go.
Appreciate you always. Yeah, here we go.
Here we go. Are we going to even be able to enjoy that this year? I mean, people are like, I'm sick of Dak, and then here he goes. Saying, why can't he just snap the ball? Yeah. Oh, don't search BJ Knicks on Twitter. Oh,
yeah. Look, that's why. Look, there's a reason why it's your guy Knicks. See, I be looking out for y'all.
Yeah,
see, I be looking out for y'all.
Don't don't search BJ Knicks. I was just typing. I was gonna do it quickly like BJ Knicks. I hit the. I was like, oh no, not that guy. No, absolutely not, man. So yeah, man. But hopefully we get to enjoy the here we go this year because I know Cowboys fans are going to be just so sick and fickle. But listen, Cowboys Nation, at the end of the day, like I said, I just want to move on to football. I think a lot of you guys want to football. The ultimate goal is to win, right? And players do things that are dumb. When they do dumb things, we'll talk about it. They play bad on the field, we'll talk about it. If they play good on the field, we'll talk about it. But it's just like, I don't think that we need to manufacture these narratives about our players. I know a lot of people watching the channel, whether it's on my stream or your stream or wherever, we can contextually have these football conversations. And we love this stuff. We love film. We love talking real ball, man. We're not TMZ. I suck at it. You know what I'm saying? I try something. I'm like, bro, you suck at this. It's not your thing, right? It's not our thing, right? Just talking ball, educating the football fans. Salute to Professor O. He put me on a new football book, man. We're all reading it together as a family, learning, educating ourselves, getting better in the all season to provide you better content. And I want you guys to do the same. Stay away from the junk food content. A lot of junk food. I like junk food sometimes, man. Calories. It's a lot of empty calorie stuff out there. It's gonna get even worse. Right now, the Cowboys have locked it up. Y'all about to get bamboozled, man. So keep your head on the swivel. Focus on what's important, which is finding ways to improve. to ultimately win a championship, because that's what we're all here, man. For people seeing for the first time, JTuck151, all social media platforms. I'm going to get better on TikTok, man. See, so here's the crazy part about this whole Micah thing. We talked about this behind the scenes. I got off of social media. I didn't even want to be a part of it. I told my wife I'm done for it until July. I poked my head in the door, see what's going on. All hell broke loose. I re-downloaded Twitter and said, not on my watch. And here I am, back in trouble again, right? So it just is what it is, man. We got to stand for righteousness. JTuck151, comment, like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Got a lot of film breakdowns coming up, a lot of guests. Tomorrow, I will have my guy 2 Live Craig on the show. We're doing a live show. For you guys who do not know Craig, he trains Dak Prescott in the offseason. He trains Trey Lance in the offseason. He asks for Trey Lance questions. He trains Pat Mahomes in the offseason. So a lot of the quarterbacks come to Dallas. They're going to visit and train with my guy Craig. So he's been, helpful enough and to give us some of his time tomorrow to join on. So we're definitely going to dive in and talk about the quarterback position. So you do not want to miss out, man. But besides that, appreciate all the support, all the likes, all the super chats. Keep rocking, man. We'll keep doing good content in this community, doing what we do best, because it's all we know, man. So I want everyone to stay safe, stay blessed, stay encouraged, and stay away from manufactured narratives.